Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. Yo, Loki, you got a prototype of the slot car game going. Nice! Yo, hey, feel free to share the link so we can check it out. Is it, did you drop it in the Discord by any chance? Yesterday we got our scripted opening cinematic working, so I'm very excited about this. Okay, nice. So it's good, sounds like good progress. Alright, so we have this little scripted dialogue here. And then Mage walks away. And then Tashio walks out. And we fade to black. So we don't have the outside of Mage's castle just yet. So we'll need to make that fairly soon. But there's one thing we have to do, I think, before that, and it's something I just thought of earlier today, and it's in the dialogue system here, as the text is typing out, if you kind of spam the A button, you can advance the page without seeing what the text is. And I don't like that. I think if you spam the button, pressing the A button while text is appearing should reveal the rest of the text, and then pressing A again should advance the text. So I think I want to add that in. But yeah, I'm running on fumes. I'm running on fumes from last night. I got like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. So we'll see how far we can get. Not sure how productive it's going to be, but we've got our gentleman's bet with Salto Manga, and we are having to finish the demo by April 1st. That gives us a little over a month to do the overworld level design, the shop, the yeah. Oh man, yesterday I wanted to do 4 things and we barely got 1 thing done in 4 hours. So let's hope today's different here. But yeah, so for the demo, you know, we need the overworld design, right? Maybe like 10-ish to 12-ish scenes fairly built out here for the player to explore, hopefully with things to do like talk to NPCs or interact with geckos or whatever. And then so we've got like 10 to 12 scenes, and then we've got to finish building out this dungeon, which right now is just an empty dungeon. So we'll have to add our bat spawns and then do some puzzle design with some Sokoban style pushing puzzles. And then I think I'm going to change it. So that, because at the end of the demo, I want the loot to be playable, because that's kind of like a big feature of the game. So like, we need the loot to be playable for the demo. So if we don't have the first tome available, which is like the sheet music for the loot, then I think the demo is kind of lackluster. So I think we need to prioritize finding the tome in the dungeon so that the player can solve the riddle to play the music on the correct scene. And if they beat the loot minigame on the correct scene, they'll unlock a cinematic, and that'll be the end of the demo, which the loot music will sort of revert the environment back to what it once was, soothing all the corruption in the overworld. So I'm wanting the overworld to have basically like surrounded by corrupted rivers, basically like overflowed by corruption. So the villagers will be complaining about how Mage caused all this corruption to unleash on the world, and they're kind of stuck. So that kind of gives us an excuse to block off certain parts of the map so that you're kind of forced to find the green tunic first and then go into the dungeon, and using the green tunic in the dungeon allows you to push the crates around. And then most of the way through the dungeon, you'll unlock the loot tome for the first location. So we have these like pushing blocks, right? These like Sokoban style pushing blocks. So we can come up with some sort of trapdoor or button unlocking something for the push blocks in the dungeon. Because one, it doesn't really make sense to find the tunic halfway through the dungeon if the dungeon needs pushing items. So we kind of need it. You know, I kind of like the idea of maybe the first time you walk into the dungeon, you can't get further than 1 or 2 screens in because the door's blocked by a crate and you can't push it. So then you have to explore a little further, and we'll have to find where to hide the green tunic, where to kind of stash it in maybe a secondary dungeon, so that it encourages the player to explore more, find the green tunic, and then as you grab it, it'll say like, you know, with this newfound power, you're able to move big blocks or whatever. And then that's kind of their signal to be like, oh, maybe I can go back to that original dungeon and push these crates around. And then the tome will be in the secret room in the dungeon. And then, and this kind of makes sense too, because there's 4 biomes in the game, and that means there's 4 bosses at the end of the biome. And then, an easy motivation is a chest behind an obstacle. Exactly, yeah. Kind of tease that there's a treasure chest and you can't really get to it because there's some crates around it. So like the crates are actually breakable, so we might have boulders in front of it. So like if we look back here, we do have, actually, did we add boulders? Or was it just... We did have a boulder. Okay, so there's a boulder over there. I can't get to it because I kind of blocked myself in, but that shouldn't have happened. Okay, so the boulders are non-destructible, but the crates are. So if you use your spell casting around the crates, you can break them down and get the goods inside. So boulders do not break down if you cast your spell. So maybe that can be something that's blocking a treasure chest at the beginning of the game as a sort of... And what happens is if you're walking up against, see this tree for example, he doesn't push. But if you walk up against a pushable object, he does go into that pushing animation. So without the green tunic equipped, he'll push and push and push and nothing will happen. But if the green tunic's on, then you can push. So I think that's the kind of thing we're gonna head towards. And like right here, see we have these different tomes. This is like the sheet music selector for your loot minigame when you pull up your loot music. So the player would immediately understand. They'd have to come back later. Exactly, yeah. So yeah, we do want to kind of tease them to like, and that's why I like kind of teasing this right here where it says like danger over here, and they're kind of like, well, what's in there? And then they can go in there and get their bottom politely handed to them because they don't even have an element or something like that, you know. So we have to decide where to hide both the element that the blue element that is going to be this fire casting spell. Well, actually, and fire's actually going to be red, because fire's going to be the red spell. It's going to be blue flame, but it's going to be red spell, because our other spells are reflect. So we have flame, we have reflect, we have ice, and we have water. And ice, water, and blue flame are all shades of blue. And that'll be very confusing in the selector here, to be like, oh, light blue is ice, dark blue is water, but cyan blue is flame. Like, so we're gonna have red is fire, blue is water, cyan is ice, and then green is reflect. So at least there's only 2 bluish elements, so we don't get those 2 mixed up with one another. And then there's, there's also kind of need to figure out, we don't have anything to do. We have this inventory of berries and magic dust. I don't know what either of these things do at the moment. So, like, my idea was there are corrupted crows in the mountain biome. And crows, if you use the ice spell, will be effective against crows because they kind of lunge at you from a distance. So you kind of have to like blast them with a long distance ice spell. Because if you're trying to block with the fire here as it's going around you, there's, you're open for most of the time because it's only right in between you and the thing for a very short amount of time. So I think I want there will be boss fight squinch. So every biome has a corrupted mega boss, essentially, like a big version of the corrupted animals that are in that biome, and beating them unlocks, like, they're kind of like guarding the most corrupted area in the biome, and that's kind of where we'll find all the tomes for the sheet music, for the loot. So you kill the boss, you get the tome, you solve the riddle, you play the music, and that will clear the corruption in the area. And then once the biome's corruption is cleansed, then instead of all the corrupted animals you find that you normally walk into, there'll be normal animals, but there's like another element of puzzle there. So that's where I was thinking the berries would come in. So it's like once you've corrupted, or once you've cleansed the corruption in the mountain biome, the crows are now normal crows, but they're standoffish to you, or whatever. Like, nothing really happens with them until you leave. And berries are actually for the geckos, and I think it's seeds for the crows. So if you leave seeds for the crows, then the thing is, it's supposed to be like a little puzzle type of thing where it's like you find like a little nook that the crows would actually nest in, and you leave seeds there, and once you lure them there with seeds, then they make a little nest, and then they have like a little family over there. So it's kind of like little puzzles for you to figure out. Like, if you just leave seeds on the floor, come back, the crows will be eating it, but then they fly away if you get close. But if you leave the seeds in the correct spot where like this remnants of a nest is, then over time they build their nest and kind of like establish a little family there. So like little puzzles like that, I think, are the goal of these other items. So like, berries are for geckos, seeds are for crows, and then there's squinch. Maybe one of them empowers your spells for a time. Like magic dust can be like a 2 times damage buff on your spells or something. I like that, because I magic dust, I'm just coming from, in Link's Awakening, you have a little inventory like this with a little dust, and you can sprinkle it on the green shocky guys, and it turns them into like a thing that you can actually kill with your sword. Like, if you smack your sword on the guys without the magic dust, it'll like zap you. But I like that idea of potentially buffing. So it's like maybe it reduces your vibrancy depletion on your elements, or maybe it buffs your damage for your spell cast. One of those two things. I do like that. Yeah, I do like that. And then so the biomes. So, I'm kind of only focusing on one specific enemy for each biome, and then I'll sprinkle in bats and geckos, maybe in certain parts of every biome, just to kind of add a little bit of variety. Because I think I should focus on like one main one, and it'll be like the ice mountain has crows. They attack from a distance, so their weakness is the ice spell that blasts across screen. The geckos are in the forest. Actually, geckos are kind of a little bit everywhere, but in the forest there's the boars, the corrupted boars, and water is good against them. So if you get close, like water's a super close distance or close range attack, so you kind of have to get really close to the boars, spray them with water, that'll turn them on their backs or something for a little bit of time, and then if you water when they're on their backs, then it'll cleanse them. And then the idea is like if you try to use fire on boars, it'll enrage them, and then they go crazy on you and kill you faster. But if you use water on them, you can make them slip, and then you can cleanse them that way with water. So it's kind of like a rock, paper, scissors for all of the enemies. I think I'm getting a little too ahead of myself here with all this stuff, but it is cool to kind of talk about what it's going to look like, because we're trying to figure out the way this game's going to build out, because we have to for the demo we have to kind of figure out what the goal is of the demo and make sure that it aligns with the bigger vision of the game. So what up, Salto? How's it going, homie? So yeah, I think we need to add like a little dungeon that has a heart container, so that the character, I would like to have 4 heart containers in the demo, so that the player can get up to 4 hearts in the demo, which could help them out in the first dungeon. So maybe there's 1 heart container just in the inn, and it's just like a freebie. And then there's 1 hidden behind a pushable that you get with your tunic. And then there's 1 in the dungeon before you get the tome for the loop music. And then maybe there's another one that we hide somewhere. That way we can have the player get 4 hearts. So I think that's another thing we need to add for the to-do list for the demo. And then we need to make sure that our loot minigame works with the programmed sheet music, make sure the song sounds good, then make sure we can trigger it if they play the correct notes on the correct scene. Yeah. So I think the toughest thing like is probably gonna be it's tough because there's another thing, right? So like with your elements are only as effective as their vibrancy. And vibrancy is just like the power, the energy that's stored inside them. So if you just willy-nilly use your spells all the time, it'll drain their vibrancy. Yeah, I put up our gentleman's bet there. So the idea is so that people don't just like willy-nilly get good at casting the spell and then they can just kind of forever protect themselves with the spell. So I kind of wanted to like encourage them to use it effectively, right? So it's like only whip it out on good timing in order to protect yourself. So over time, this element down here will desaturate in color according to its vibrancy, I call it. And then once it's desaturated, it's non-effective and you can't cast a spell anymore with it. So the goal of it was like to be like just like a little thing so that you couldn't just you couldn't just go in the corner and let them come to you and kind of just like do the spell casting infinitely and just hope that you can outpace them. So you kind of have to be like smart about it. So I'm hoping that will kind of like encourage people to use it wisely instead of just spamming it. And then when you come here to meditate, that'll recharge your vibrancy. And I'm kind of toying with the idea of like, you know, we've got the Manus bar here. We've got the Manus bar. And Manus is the, let me see if I'm getting this right. Manus is the, it's like the focus. So it's like when you find your focus, right? Like Manus, you exert your Manus, and as you spend your focus, essentially, I'll turn this on. I'll turn this on so we can see it. So Manus is like just a made-up word. It's not mana, but it's Manus, you know. I know. I liked that idea of like, because it's like I'm thinking about it in like a, you know, in the magical lore sense of like it like, how does one make magic? Like, how does one craft magic and cast it? And my reasoning is they have to focus their mind, and the result, like the output of their focus, is not a result of how much they're focusing. Like, let me see if we can get the Manus on screen here, and I can kind of talk about it a bit more. I thought we had it. Where the freaking? I want to say it's like Manus bar or something like that. Manus bar render. Here we go. So I still haven't decided. I mean, I think we'll probably turn this on for the demo so that people can kind of see. So it's like the red is your Manus, right? And that's just how much energy you have to focus. So as you exert focus, your focus drains, and then you can't cast any spells because you're out of focus, essentially. So you have to balance it, right? So like as you exert your focus, the white bar is the result of your focus, right? So it's like, in order to get in the zone, you have to focus for a little bit of time, but then in order to stay in the zone, you gotta focus on like a very, very specific kind of way to get the spell to constantly be casting. So like I turned it up so that right now you can kind of perpetually cast, and that's basically just for me so that I don't get wrecked by bats all the time. But it will drain if your white bar here is greater than 0, it'll drain, so that you can't just sit here in perpetuity and cast. So there's two kind of limits to your spell casting. One is your Manus depletion, which as you cast more and more spells, your Manus will drain faster. But then there's also the vibrancy of the element. So like the more you use the element, like this, anytime I'm successfully casting the spell itself, the energy that we're exerting from the element is being drained as we use it. So it gets drained, and then we have to replenish it with meditation. So you come here, meditate, and then your vibrancy will go back up. So the element that's equipped there will become fully saturated again. And then I was kind of toying with this idea, like Salto, you know in Sekiro where there's Hanbei the Undying, right? And I know for me, it was nice to have Hanbei Undying there to practice parrying, because it was just a safe place to practice, right? So I was kind of thinking, and I don't know how I feel about this, but like I'm thinking instead of meditating, just instantly recharging it and you can go run back into battle, I'm kind of thinking that you have to do this little mini game here just for a little bit to charge. It's almost like you sit down and you're meditating, and then as you cast spells, now ignore that we're triggering the dialogue box, but like see how the spell's going around him because he's practicing casting while he's meditating. So I kind of want, and I want it to be quick, you know, I don't want it to be annoying, but I think it'd be a cool excuse to practice the spell cast just a bit, especially because the different elements are going to have a different range of successful spell cast. So the fire here has a green bar right here for the successful spell cast, and the white focus bar travels in a kind of ramped up manner. So I'm kind of thinking it's like let's say your vibrancy's out of 100, so if you cast your spell for 100 seconds, it's got no more vibrancy, then it would be fully desaturated. Then you'd have to come and charge it at the meditation zone. So when you meditate, if you choose to meditate, and it's something I still have to think about because meditating is also saving the game. So I think you meditate, and then I can hit like a second dialogue box, right? So like if you hit no, you don't meditate, but if you hit yes, you save your game, but it'll also ask you to regenerate or something like regenerate, and then the spell you have equipped, it would look just like this, where your spell's equipped and you can cast your manus. Now it wouldn't pull up the dialogue box, but basically there might be like a little meter, and as you successfully spellcast in a meditation state, that fills up your vibrancy bar, or like we have some kind of indicator of how strong the vibrancy is, so that you can kind of sit here, and it wouldn't be long. It would be like it would charge up really fast in the meditation zone, but it functions twofold. Like one, so that you don't just get the recharge and run right back into battle, but it forces you to slow down a bit. You meditate a little, and then you get to practice the spell that you're currently using a bit. So like you get a better feeling for it, kind of like Hanbei the Undying, where it's like, well, this is a safe place to train the usage of the spellcast without getting attacked and without losing the vibrancy. So it's just an idea I came up with like today, and I'm still toying with it. I don't know if it's too annoying, but I think it's kind of interesting to practice the spellcast in this meditation state. I think it's kind of interesting. I don't know if I for sure want to do it. And maybe that's something we don't worry about for the demo, but something in the full game, I'm not exactly sure. But one thing we do need to get done before we finish the opening cinematic, I mean, it's almost done. We just need to load the new scene he comes out of, which we don't have Mage's Castle on the outside just yet. So I think the next thing up is the dialogue advancement, which, you know, if we spam P, see how we close the dialogue box before we even see the full dialogue. So I want it so if you hit A button, it'll print up, it'll show all the dialogue, and it only advances once you hit the A button, once the dialogue is all out. So I think once we fix that, I'll feel better about the scripted dialogue parts and the dialogue in general, and then we can move on with the overworld design and the dungeon design for the demo. So I think that's what we need to work on today. So let's just hop into the dialogue box, because it's been 43 minutes and I've just been yapping. Okay, so dialogue box is our hand-spun dialogue system that parses our text for a dialog box and assigns the text into different pages and different lines. So we kind of have to, in order for us to figure out, like essentially what happens is we press P, and right now when we press P, we advance the current page. So we say anytime P is pressed, we go to the next page, and if we're on the last page, P just takes us out of the dialog box altogether. So we need to add a little clause in here that says if we press P and the dialog is still being printed, then just reveal all of the dialog and wait for another P press to advance the current page. So in order for us to know if the dialog's currently being printed, we need to know the text index. Text index is the character, the index of the character that is being printed. And we need to know the length of the characters in a given page, which I don't think we're calculating. So if we look at our init in our dialog, oh my goodness. Yeah, because we have, you know what, we probably need to, I think we would need to count how many characters are in each page. So what we do is we initialize a pages table. So if there's only one screen of text, that's one page of text. And then we initialize the first page to be a table. And then we initialize each of the indexes of the page to hold an empty table. This is kind of weird because like what this is saying 1 here is page 1, line 1. This is page 1, line 2. This is page 1, line 3. So we kind of just initialize only the pages we need, and we don't know we have a second page until we get to it, right? So we do this where we say, while there's characters to check, let's advance our text index. We snag a substring one character at a time. We analyze it if it's a space or a word. If it's the beginning of the word, we have to do that check to make sure it can fit on the current line. If we advance our line and we were already on line 3, we need to initialize a new page with new strings, new lines of dialogue for each page, or new tables of strings for each line of dialogue on the new page. But we aren't doing a page character count. So we can do something like this by, once we're doing the character check, if it's a letter, we basically just assign into our current page a field of page character count, and we increment it every character. It would actually be, it would be every character or every space, because the text index needs to account for the spaces that are being printed too. So we might have to add a new field to each page element that is a page character count. And then let's just start there. Okay, so we have a field called page character count on the page table. Now, how do we do this? Because if it's a letter or if it's a space, then we need to increase this page character count on the current page we're on. And then if we increment the page, we need to start, I guess once we increment the page we are on, then we'll then start to increment the new page character count. So I think right here I think right here we need to do this and say the pages at the current page we're on, dot page character count needs to get incremented here. So self dot page. Yeah, one thing I don't like about Lua, probably like the only thing that kind of bugs me, is that there's no easy incrementation. You know, I would really love plus plus in Lua, because to have to type all this stuff is kind of silly. So we're going to take the page character count we are, and we're going to increment it if we increase our text index. And then this should only increment on the page we're on. As we increment the page we're on, we'll be adding a different value to the page character count, and that just means that we need a reference to the page character count to get initialized every new page as well. So we say it's 0 when we make a new page, and right here too, so that we have a value we can actually increment. So let's try to print up, who coded this? Why is there 3 times we do this? If space character, if normal character, but then why is it 3 times? We did it here, we did it here if it's a space character. Okay, so the first time we do it is if our line character count plus the word. Okay, so it's like this one is if I think we could do this better. I think actually, yeah, we're doing it right here, so we don't need to actually. Yeah, anytime we have a new page, we need to do this. Okay, I think this is right. It's just a little strange that we have so many instantiations of new pages conditions. So let's try to print up this new field, and we'll see if it's looking at all correct. So we'll say that we're going to print it up here, and it's going to be page character count. And then it's not the page we're on. The page we're on is part of our parsing init, but the current page is the page we're on in the dialogue system, not in the scope of actually generating the parsed text. So we have to do we'll say self.pages at index self.current page, and then we go into the page character count right here, and we print this up. Okay, so let's see if our page character count is looking right. So page character count 10. So tavern is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, not 10. Okay. This one's also 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that one's 10. Okay, so maybe the current page, I think we might need to current page. It might be current page we need to set it on. Current page. Yeah, let's try to increment not the page we are on, but the current page. Page we are on. No. Yeah, we do it here. Yeah, it should be page we are on. Page we're on. Okay, it should be that. So when we index the current page, yeah, that's either 1 or 2 page character count. What worries me is that like it didn't change at all on this. Like here, current page is 1, then it goes current page 2, but the page character count was 10 for both. So I think something's wrong there. I kind of want to see. Is there another? There's not another page of 2-page dialogue for us to test here. This one's 11. That looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So it seems to be working on the single pages, but not multi-page. So what are we missing? When we go to print it, we print it at the current page index.page character count, which should be 2 different tables in the case of our double page dialog box. You know, we're indexing the current page. So as long as we increment the page we're on and that changes, which it does, it should be adding a different value. So when we add a new page, yeah, so like we say we're on the next page, we initialize that page, and then we initialize that character count to 0. Page character count to 0, yeah. And then it's got to be where this is happening, right? Where this is wrong. I'm going to try to do this only in the case of like if we find a letter, and I'm just going to see if this fixes it. If it's a letter or if it's a space, then we need to increment the page character count, and then we only do that as we find a character and we do it. Okay, I'm just wanting to see 2 different values here in this page character count, 10 and 10 still. Page length, current page. I don't see what's wrong. We go to the page we're on, we go to the page character count field, and we increment it. So as long as the page we're on changes, we should be adding a different thing. So let's do it here when we increment. Actually, yeah, no, it should be right here. This is gross. Okay. Let's try to do it. Let's take this out and try to do it only when we know. Because, like, let's see. There's characters that check. It's a letter, so we need to increment it, right? Like, if we just increment it there, do we get different values for this? So there's 8 and 10. Okay. 8 and 10. That looks right. Yeah, that's 8 and that's 10. Okay. That's looking right. And that's 11. Okay. That's looking right. 13. So let's test it. Should be spaces included. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12. Oh, it didn't count the space. It didn't count the space there. So if the character is a space, we need to do this if the character is a space and the previous character was not a space. Yeah, we need to do it right here only. And then I think it might work. 9 and 10. Is this 9? 3, 6, 7, 8. Shoot. In our declarations, do we have a space here? We do have a space technically. See, this is what's screwing up, is like we're advancing the page to a secondary page of dialogue if we do a space here, and that's throwing off That's throwing off the count, the character count. So, do we only need to do it right here if we... If the last... This is all if the last character was a space. So we don't want to increment it if the previous character was a space, because that's why we got the off by 1 error. But if we're about to concatenate the next line, then we add it there. I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. That's 9 and 10, which is still wrong. Yeah, it should be 8 and 10. And that should be 12, right? Yeah, that's wrong. Okay, well, I think an off by 1 error because of the space distinction might not be that bad. Well, I'm trying to think, like, worst case scenario, if there's like 9 spaces, then technically if they hit the P button before the 9th to last character, it would print up, otherwise it would advance. That's a bit much. I think I'd rather fix this than call it good. So there's got to be just another point in time where we do this. So there's 3 conditions here, and it's either that the word fits on the current line we're printing, or it goes on the next line, or actually there's just 2 conditions there. So if we were to only increment the character count when the character's a space, the last character was a space, right? Because this is, the character is a space. Now we don't want to increment the page character count until we find a new word. Actually, no, it's different than that. Yeah, because we need to do it at the end of every word. We need to increment. Yeah, I want to say it's right here. It's just that if it's a double space, we need to decrement. If the last character was a space, I think we need to decrement this number, and that might fix it. Because we do want to count all the spaces for any words leading up to the end of the page. But if it's a double space line break, we need to not count that space. So we essentially just decrement it. Character 9 and 10, still wrong. It still counts. It still counts the last space here. I'm curious, see, like 14, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 12, 13, 14. Okay, no, that is right. So I think it's only off by 1 if we do have the double space page break still. But it favors it towards a text index after all the characters are printed. So that might be okay. So let's check it out in the cinematic and see if that character count, page count is looking right. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna see the page count. 12. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 is the space right here. Now, the text index for this as it gets printed up goes to the end of the max character length. So technically, by the time an invisible character here would be printed, if you hit P, it would advance it, and that I think is acceptable to me. Same with all of these. Okay, it looks good. It looks good. So we have the character count that is being pulled from each page. So now we just need to only advance the page So yeah, there's two things here. Oh shoot, man. Yeah. I'm just trying to think of how to print up, how to reveal the rest of the string, right? Because we're kind of using this text index to pull a substring. I think we can figure it out though. So if P is pressed, we count how many times we click A, which I'm not exactly sure why we do that. I know we need a button count so that we at least press the button once to advance the text. I think that's the only time we use it. And for the touch detection, I think we needed it for that too. But we press the P button, that should advance the text. But instead of doing this right away, which is advancing the current page, instead of doing that right away, we need to ask another thing, and we need to ask if our text index, we say if our text index is greater than or equal to the page character count of the page we are on. And if so, then we want to advance the page. Oh, what did we screw up? What did we screw up? We need another end. Ugh, that screws this up. Okay, we need to print up our text index. Yeah. Oh, what the heck? Oh, what the heck? Oh. Our text index is getting reset all the time. Huh. So text index is wrong, and the advancing isn't even working. Oh, if our text index is greater than the page character count of the page we are on, then go ahead and advance. That should work. Because we advance the current page. Yeah, if our text index, if P is pressed, and our text index is greater than the page character count of the page we are on. So yeah, text index here is greater than the page character count of the page we are on, because the page we're on is the first page. Page character count's 11, 56 greater than 11. We press P, and it just resets our text index for some reason. Okay. Where do we reset our text index, and why is that so wrong? We're doing a whole bunch of junk. This is so wrong. Okay, so let's start at the top. God, there's 34 references of this. So yeah, I thought the text index is only really being pulled as the index of the character we're trying to print up. but I think we use it in two parts. We use it to parse out the character by character of the dialogue text string parameter, and then we use it to print up also, because I think we do this here in the parameter, in the init. Yeah, because see, look here. Yeah, this is the end of our init, and then in our update, we're using the text index again, which is really strange. Yeah, we should have a printed text index that we're printing it by. Well, actually, let me think this through. I think my reasoning for this was that as long as the text index was working, because like the init, all of this init code finishes before any character is printed. So it's kind of like the text index is irrelevant once it's initted, and then we just flush it. We flush it, don't we set it in the update? It's a little strange how we did this. Yeah, I don't see where we flush it. We do, if we call flush text on it, we do reset text index to 1. And I'm pretty sure we flush text right before we kind of trigger the dialog box update. So I think that's where we're technically flushing it. So the text index, yeah, this is weird. So let's walk it through for the, not for a P press, but for in general. We reset it anytime we pass the max text box line length. Yeah, so every line that's being printed, we're resetting the text index because we're printing a substring of every line, lines 1, 2, and 3. So text index is going 1 through 56 for every line. So I think okay. Yeah, this is a little different than I'm imagining. But like this shouldn't be broken, and like because the text index is printing a wrong number as it's updating, but our value should be correct because we're using text index again for printing, but all of the logic we were just touching was in the init, not the update. Yeah, so there's the init. Okay, so the state of text index while in the init is different than the text index in the update. Okay, so no, that is making sense why it's wrong then. So we do have a character count. Okay, so I think what we need is in the update function, we need a global character printed sort of deal. Well, see, so how do we... Yeah, okay, so instead of having a text index that resets every line when we're printing, we need to also have a page count for the update, which is just kind of strange. But if we have a printed text page character count and we increment that anytime we increment our lines text index, then we should have the right value to reset the print. So let's do this, and we'll say that there's a current page printed character count. Oh my god. Okay, that is different than the page character count field on each page, because that's what we're comparing to this value to know if we've printed all the characters to print out. So we'll increment this upon a text index increment in the update, not the init. So basically anytime we update right here, when the text timer is greater than the trigger, whenever we update this text index, we're going to increment this current page printed character count. Say that 12 times fast. And then we also do it for every line because we need this to be not getting reset all the time. And then when we advance the page, we need to reset this thing. So where we advance the page on a P press, right? So once we press P, when we advance the page here, we need to flush our current page printed character count to be 0 here. Okay, now let's print up this current page printed character count. Jesus Christ, okay. And we'll see if that value should not be resetting every line. It should just be every page. So it's not text index, it is current page printed character count. And we'll call this page character count, or printed page character count. Okay. Yes, that's looking right. Yes, that's looking right. Okay, so now we have, this is great, because now, printed page character count is which index of the character that's being printed. So if P is pressed, we need to reset it. We're not resetting it upon a clear also. So when current page is equal to page length and P is pressed, we need to also flush it back to 0. So when we say current page character count, current page printed character count gets 0 if P is pressed and we're on the last page. Where is that? P. Page length, we need to do it right here. Right here. Yep, right here. Oh, we do it. Current page printed character count gets 0. We do it. If current page is equal to the page length, we're going to go to our current page printed character count, reset it to 0. Okay. And then we think we need it in the flush text too. Let's see if that resets it. Okay, that does reset it. Okay, nice. Yes, and then when we advance pages, it starts counting again. That's right. Okay, so now if P is pressed, and we won't advance the page until... Okay, here we go. Yeah, let's do this. P is pressed. Now we don't want to do this. We don't want to do any of this junk. I think that one's fine. If we're on the last page, no, it has to include this. Okay, so we'll say if our current page printed character count is greater than or equal to the self.pages self dot current page dot text. No, what is it? Character count, page character count. Then we want to do this update. So this wouldn't print up the remaining string if you hit P and it was still printing, but it should prevent it from going to the next page when you press P while it's still printing. So let's test that. No. Very wrong. Same wrong we had before. That is very confusing to me. Because P is pressed, our current page printed character count would be greater than the current page character count. Oh my god, what am I talking about? It would be bigger, so then we would just advance the page. If the current page is equal to the page length, which it is on this one at least, our current page is 1. Oh, actually, yeah, not on this one. On the other one. Yeah. Why does this not advance? Huh. Anytime P is pressed, we're resetting our current page printed. We're resetting it here. When P is pressed, we're resetting it here. Okay, so I think what we need to do is in this else if right here. So this else is basically if we're not on the last page. Yeah, so this is if we're on the last page. This is let's print up the next page. Yeah. So before we move to the next page, I don't know, it's also if we're gonna do this, let's just try to get it to work here, and we'll say else if our current page character count is greater than the page we're on, print it up, then let's advance our page. Let's see. Nope, it still goes right off. So wrong. Okay. I didn't think it'd be this hard. Story of my life. What if we wrap this whole thing? We only do any of this if our current page. This has got to be wrong indenting. What is that, man? Should be 3 N's. We're not advancing it. Why would we not be advancing it? We're saying our current page gets current page plus 1. Why would current page not get advanced? Because we're asking if our current page character count is smaller than our current page printed character count. Jeez, man. Yeah. Let's just flip this and see if that changes anything. Son of a bitch, dude. These values are right. We're printing them up. We see that they're right. So why is it that it completely breaks whenever we try something on a basic condition? I think we broke this. Yeah, we broke this. Okay. This should be the working version, yeah. Okay. Okay. This is wild. I don't get why. We've got to be doing something on a P press. Regardless, are we doing any other P press here? No. Wow. Okay. I'm very confused. I feel like because yeah, if we comment out this whole thing, nothing changes because this is just if the P press is pressed. This is what's the most confusing to me. This, I gotta be missing something because this, oh. Yeah, see, I did not. Why is pressing P doing anything at this point? We turned off all the P press logic. So why is P pressing doing anything? What the heck? What the? What? That explains something weird. I don't get why that would be happening. Why would P press do anything in the dialog box update? It's got to be accidentally doing it from the play state. But we're not updating the play state. We become paused when we P press. Yeah, so we're in a play state. Yeah, we become paused. So P press here shouldn't do anything. This is really bugging me. This is so weird that P press is doing anything. Because it kind of makes sense. If we were still, actually, we are still in the play state. Yeah, all we do is update our dialog box. So we are in the play state. So we do flush text here. Okay. So that is actually making sense why it's fucking up then. I thought that since we were paused, our scene wouldn't be updating, but this is in the play state, not in the scene. Yeah. Okay. So this P press is what's screwing up the flush text. This is calling flush text on our dialog box, which we're still technically colliding with. Okay. So we kind of need to only flush this text if the dialog box here is activated, you know, like if we're in it. this is actually not activated. So if we collide with the dialog box and the dialog box is not activated, I don't think it likes that. Actually, it's fine. Okay. So we need to become activated here. Okay, so this at least shouldn't flush it when I hit P again. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, that's great. Okay, so that might be the issue here. So that might have been the issue. So yeah, because we were flushing text on a P press regardless in the play state. So in our dialog box class here, let's turn this back on, but with our specific logic that we did here. So in a P press, yeah, let's turn this back on, but do the code that we were testing, which is, sure, we want to count the button count. We only want to do this stuff if our self.current page printed count is greater than or equal to the page's current page character count. Okay, let's try this. Okay, let's see. So it does cancel out. See, it did advance. And it doesn't reset. We need to become unactivated. Let's try it on this second signpost here and press it real fast. Oh, it worked. It worked. Okay, let's redo. We need to become activated false when we close this. So on our current page equal to, if our current page is equal to page length, right here. Yes, we need to take our own activated and become false here. Okay. This should allow us to reset the dialog box. It does not. It does work. It doesn't advance the text box if you press P before the character's printed, so I like that. But we're not resetting this activation, because here in our play state, yeah, we're changing the dialog box object. Yeah, so either, like, I'm worried that the LSP isn't highlighting this, and that's a little weird to me. Oh, wait. No? Huh. It is working, though. Wait a second. We didn't initialize it to false, so how would it even be true? Okay, so it looks like the LSP does not highlight and not keywords, which is a little annoying. but this and not activated. So we just need, when we initialize our dialog box, we just need to be not activated, then it should work. So in our init here, activated is false. Yeah. And we reflush it false here, but we need it in the init. Okay, that should work. We're looking for a reset here. Nice. Oh, shit, that's not it. That's not it. No, that's not it. Okay. And not activated, and not activated. It's gotta be right here. So if we collide with it, if P is pressed, and we collide, and we're not currently activated, we're gonna flush that text. Okay. We could print up the activated field, but I'm pretty sure it's wrong because we're not flushing the text for the dialog box. Let's try to not become activated true and just see what happens. Okay. Yeah, it's flushing the text because P is pressed. So either we need to move this P press in the dialog update, but that doesn't make much sense because we have to, this is checking in the play state for when P is pressed. Yeah, we can't move it in the update because we're not updating until we're colliding with a dialog box. So this cycles through our dialog boxes, it checks for a collision, but also it's saying and not current map.row, current map.column.dialog box index k activated and not activated. So maybe either our init is incorrect or we're not flushing it proper. So let's just say if we update this, yeah, if the end of page, maybe we do this. Yeah, it would be right here. Yeah, it would be right here. Oh, maybe advance the text. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it's just not become activated. Let's see. Whoa, that was freaking loud. Okay, let's see the flower bed index, and we'll just print up that activated field and make sure it's working. And we can narrow down the problem from there. So the flower bed is the index 2 of our dialog box from our map 7.2. So if we go to our play state and we go to print up a value here, and we're gonna print up activated. And we need to give it the 7.2 dialog box at index 2 dot activated, and then give it an X and Y, and we'll give it 0 and 40. Okay, we should see the field now. Should be false upon a init, which it is, and then it becomes activated, and then it's not becoming flushed here. So this, I thought that was the issue because it's not becoming flushed, but why not? because we flush it right here. Self-activated gets false. If... Oh, this is in our touch detection. Son of a... That was my bad. My bad. Yeah, we do it right here. It's bad. This is why, yeah, I'm not gonna continue full support for the web development version. It's just too many things for me to worry about. So I think once the demo is done, I'll update the web deployment with a working, other than saving obviously, a working version of the game. And then I'm gonna abandon touch detection for, well, I guess it depends, because if we want to deploy to iOS, we need the touch detection to work. So maybe we don't abandon it. I'll have to think about it. This should work. If this doesn't work... Okay, activated false. Great. Okay, so if I spam P here, it didn't advance the text, which is great. Only if I hit P and all the text has been printed will it advance the page, which is what I want. Cool. I don't know if it's necessary, since the text speed is so fast. I don't think it's necessary for the P press to reveal the rest of the text, because the text prints up pretty fast anyway. So I don't think we need to do that. Okay, let me just make sure that meditate actually works, and then we might call it. Let's see. It does. Okay. Yep. If you just hit... Oh. Okay. I think it's good. Sweet. Okay. Let's take off... Yeah, let's take off this debug. Yeah, thinking about it now, I think I do want the iOS version, because Love can port to Android and iOS, so I think it'd be nice to offer a mobile version of it, and that way I can also just play it on my freaking phone. So we might have to, I think after the demo's done, I'm going to rehaul the touch detection into basically an output list table that matches our keyboard input, and then we only have to design the all of the responsiveness based on the output list instead of based on the keyboard detection or the touch detection. We just handle the keyboard and touch detection, and then handle it once we have those values. So I think that might be what we do going forward. It's more work to support, but thinking about it long term, it'd be nice if I could tell people to pull up the App Store and download it on their phone, right? That would be cool. So I think we'll call it there. I'm running on fumes, like I said, from last night, but let us check out our git diff real quick. Why does that keep happening, man? Okay, so it looks like, we added these two values, a page character count and a current page printed character count. And we basically just advance those as needed. And we only advance the page if all our characters have been printed up. And then we also initialize our values upon the resets and the every page incrementation. And then we added a dialog activated box so that we don't accidentally flush the text when we hit P while we're colliding in our play state, which was causing us a lot of issues. So, thanks, Squinch. Thank you. Yeah, this is something that wasn't on my radar yesterday, but for quality of life, it's really nice, because if someone's playing the cinematic here and they go to, as he's talking, if they kind of press it really quick, You know, I don't want them to accidentally miss the text, because if they press P while it's printing, then they miss what the text said. And this opening cinematic is not replayable. So they have to, yeah, if they spam P, it waits till it comes out. So I'm glad we did that. That's a little more friendly for the user. So tomorrow we will begin probably designing the outside of Mage's Castle and the first couple scenes of the overworld where you start the game. And then we'll probably map out, we'll try to lock in where the village is, which scene in our global map Mage's Castle really lives at, so that we can start to kind of like solidify, here's where on the global map this exists, so that we can just design and not have to change it in the future. So kind of plan it out, you know, where it's gonna be towards the end of the game. So that's gonna be good. And then we'll probably only get if tomorrow we get our castle and 1 or 2 scenes done, that will be a big success. So I think that's what we're going to work on tomorrow. I do want to turn off the debugging in our play state. Okay, and then we'll commit. Oh no, I did this again. If I do this, I accidentally did a git. Okay, it might be okay. Git add and commit with a message saying that we limit dialogue advance upon when dialogue is fully printed. Cool. And then hopefully by tomorrow we'll have the first couple scenes of the game in place, and then our opening cinematic is done, our first scene is done, and then we kind of start mapping out the village. Then we jump into dungeon design, and then we might actually have to add in a smaller dungeon to hide the green tunic of strength and a heart container, and then we'll probably go from there. So let's run the credits. Thanks for hanging, y'all. I hope y'all have a great night. We'll find someone to raid out to here. I mean, I think we're gonna have to raid Brightside. He's working on his Steam release right now for his Slice and Dice Pizza Shop Simulator, which is like a multiplayer fun game you can play. Or he's releasing it for Steam Fest, so we'll raid out to him and say what's up. But thanks for watching, y'all. Catch you later.